This is Andy Crouch from All About Beer. I want to take a moment to thank Sacred Vice Brewing for coming on as an underwriter. Philadelphia is one of my favorite beer cities, and Sacred Vice is Philly's family brewery. With its gorgeous longleaf pine Art Deco style bar, cozy as hell spaces to sip one of the brewery's classic styles, and all of its LP records on display, Sacred Vice is a must visit. We appreciate how the folks at Sacred Vice understand how important it is to support beer journalism. And if you want to join Sacred Vice and the other companies helping us pay our writers, podcasters, and artists, check out allaboutbeer.com/support. We'd love to have you join the All About Beer community.
Welcome to Drink Beer, Think Beer, the podcast that gets to the bottom of every pint. I'm John Holl. The beer world is filled with achievements. A few weeks back, the Great American Beer Festival handed out its annual awards. Around Denver, there were other competitions like Alpha King and Krispy King. Brewers around the country might be crowned in best of lists by newspapers or local magazines. Way back in the day, the Wynkoop Brewery would hand out its Beer Drinker of the Year award. Other milestones are more private and personal. My guest today, Don Tess, recently hit an important beer milestone, and he's here to talk about it. But first, if you like this show, and judging by all the folks who listen, you do, I hope you'll consider leaving a review on your podcast platform of choice. It helps other people find the show, and it also is a little boost for my ego personally. I've been talking about this on the show for a while now, and you often hear Andy Crouch at the cold open of the shows, but the way we're able to keep bringing original content to the beer industry and curious beer drinkers is through your support. We have created an affordable underwriting program that is easy on your budget, helps you get visibility, and is an altruistic way to directly fund writers, photographers, creators, and editors. Please visit allaboutbeer.com/support to learn more. And when you're at the website, poke around a little bit. Read some of the recent articles. Don Tess has one on Oktoberfest tables. You can peruse the archives, which go all the way back to 1979, and you can tune into other podcasts like Brewer to Brewer and the All About Beer podcast that Don Tess co-hosts with M. Souter. You won't be disappointed. You can also follow us on social media at All About Beer to keep up with everything else we have going on. And we'll get into this conversation in a moment, but first, here's a note from this episode's sponsors. We thank them for their support, and we hope you'll give them your business. Today's episode is brought to you by Stomp Stickers. Stomp is built for the business community, serving everyone from small independents to larger franchises. Whether you need low minimums for a limited batch or bulk pricing for your go-to products, they've got you covered. Join thousands of breweries that trust Stomp for their custom printing needs. Go to stompstickers.com and try them out and score 15% off of your first order with the code FIRSTRUN.
Shed 60-Minute IPA is a fantastically hoppy India Pale Ale that's beautifully balanced thanks to their unique continual hopping method. Delivering a pungent hop flavor that isn't crushingly bitter, 60-Minute is continually hopped throughout the boil for a full 60 minutes. Starting to see where the name comes from? Check out dogfish.com to learn more and to find some 60-Minute near you. Dogfish Head Craft Brewery, Milton, Delaware. Please drink responsibly.
If you are a fan of All About Beer, you know my guest today. Don Tess is co-host of the All About Beer podcast. He is a prolific writer. He is also really good at social media, where he posts a lot of puns. We're in the season where he's also posting a lot of haunted house memes or haunted house. How would you describe them, Don?
Lame jokes.
Perfect. He's also a prolific writer, appearing in magazines and regularly on Forbes' website, Forbes.com. He is a malt expert and enthusiast and just an all-around good guy, someone I'm honored to call a colleague and a friend. And he tracks every beer he's ever consumed and just hit a major milestone. Don, as you know, is here to tell us all about it. So, Don, I want to unpack all of it, but first, what number did you hit?
Take a guess. No, 30,000. Yeah, I'm always amazed when people try and guess how many beers I've had, and they guess like 3,000 or 5,000. But yes, 30,000.
We were
beers.
Somewhere recently. Was that at Bierstadt after the Denver Rare Beer tasting, where we were going around the table and people were trying to guess?
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either. But
there are parts of Denver Rare Beer I don't remember.
It's an afternoon of stouts, but I know I've been around you when we've played that game before.
Yeah. Even
And
people who've known me for a long time, like just they forget or whatever. And yeah, it's 30,000.
wow. I mean, so how far back does this go? Like, what
This
was
go
the first beer you recorded? Like, when did you start doing this?
So I started doing this around 1997, I believe, mid 90s, we'll just say.
Okay.
I got a book that had about 250 beer tasting notes in it or something like that, and I kind of checked off the dozen or so beers in it that I had had. It was an American book, and I live in Canada, so a number of the beers I had had weren't in that book. So I
So
thought,
this was like one of those like 250 beers to try before you die or
yeah,
something, or
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah, there was a beer writer named Bob Klein. Do you remember him?
I don't.
Yeah. Anyway, he. I never met him, but he had this book, and he also used to do a 365 beers, like a daily beer calendar. One of those calendars where you tear
Oh
off the
yeah,
day. So he had a beer. Anyways,
that's a nice gig.
yeah. So he had this book, and there was a couple dozen in there that I had tried, and a couple dozen that I hadn't, that weren't in the book. So I thought, well, I need to make my own list. So I started making my own list. And at that stage, at that point in my life, as I mentioned, I probably only had 2 dozen different beers. So I backtracked and, starting with the very first beer I ever tried, which was Labatt Blue. I started taking notes, and it was a couple dozen beers at the time. I never imagined it'd be 30,000 beers. So I very naively and stupidly started that database in WordPerfect, which some of your listeners probably aren't even old enough to remember. There was a software program called WordPerfect.
Yeah, pre-word. Yeah.
Pre-word, yeah. And then
I like that you think that this audience is super young.
well, I'm surprised you remember WordPerfect, actually. So
I'm an old soul. Yeah.
okay, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'd already been working in newsrooms for a year in '97. So yeah.
Yeah, and so when WordPerfect died, I spent God knows how many hours converting that file to a Word file, which was still then only like, I don't know, a few hundred beers. And then as we sit here today, it is now 5 separate Word files.
So you posted about this on your social media the other day that your fourth file was too big. Like you couldn't add
Yes.
anything more to it. I didn't realize that was a thing. It feels like that's something that in this day and age of endless terabytes and all that, it's like the joke about, well, I finished reading the internet.
Yes.
I feel like this is one of those things that shouldn't happen.
I
How
agree
many
with you.
words or characters or
I
like
honestly don't
roughly?
know
Okay.
because you know how Word. So what the problem is? I could add to it. The problem was it wouldn't alphabetize for me. So I was trying to
Oh.
alphabetize, and that's when I got the error message. So so
They
but
said
in terms
maybe
of
drink a glass of water. Like that's the pop-up. Yeah.
in
Have a
terms of
glass of
number
water, go to bed. Yeah.
of words, it literally it won't tell me. You know how Word will give you a word count at the bottom?
Yeah.
It keeps changing because it can't get an accurate number in any of my 5 files. So I thought, oh, I was kind of interested. How many words is it? I could just add up the 5 numbers, and I can't. It won't give me a number for any of my 5 files.
In my mind, I see Clippy, that little Microsoft paperclip, just in a padded room somewhere, just mumbling "no, Don, no" over again.
It's
Yeah.
yeah. I
You
mean,
broke Word.
I will say like it is. It's a 10-point font, and there's about I would say 6 or 7 notes per page.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know.
But at some point, you reached the commitment level where it's okay. Like I've done a couple dozens now, or I did 100 or so, whatever. Now this becomes. I don't want to use the word obsession, but I've seen you. I've been out with you while you do this, and
Yeah.
you are focused. I mean, you're present for conversations. You're in the beer. You're in the space, but that is your main focus on these things. So at some point, did a switch flip, and you're like, okay, well, this is what I do now.
I don't know if it was a switch flipping, but it is what I do now. And the thing is that that list is complete. It's not just that I've had 30,000 different beers. It is 30,000 different beers. It is every single beer I have ever tried. It is a complete list. And so I can't miss one. Like if the it's a binary thing. As soon as I miss one beer, my list is no longer complete.
Yeah,
So I can't miss it. And I'll be perfectly honest. There are times where I find myself without a notepad or whatever. I wasn't expecting to have a beer, and there is one. And so I'll reproduce the note, later in the day or next day. Some of my notes are not the best notes.
sure.
I'll confess, but
And
it is
only you
accurate.
can read them. I have tried.
Yes. I don't know why I'm so secretive about it, but yeah, I don't really share my notes with anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you've left your notebook on the table now and again, or I'm standing behind you and I'm looking over, and I mean, you have shorthand for certain things, it seems like,
Correct.
and there
Yeah.
is. So what are you categorizing when you're tasting it? Are you doing BJCP like stuff where it's aroma, flavor, etc.? Is it just impression? Is it uh, what do you document because
I
you feel
start
it's important for you and your list?
kind of where I started. Kind of one of the justifications I had in doing this was in writing about beer. I thought it would be good to document all the beers I've had, so that if I was writing about a beer, I could describe it without having to retaste it while writing an article. So that was kind of the impetus for it. And so all of that, all of what you said, the visual of it, the aroma, the taste, aftertaste. I wouldn't say I go through a BJCP judging type process, but I do all of that, and I do. If it's I do a lot of flights and I do a lot of samples. But if it's a full beer, then I will go back and I will add to my notes if the beer changes with as the beer warms. I will do, I'm a total nerd, as you know, and so like
I do.
I'll notice if the dissipation of foam is noisy, I will write down the sound of the
Like the
foam.
crackle.
Yeah, the crackle or all of that. I'm a big fan of carbonation, and so I pay attention to the beating in the beer and how big are those bubbles? How big are the bubbles in the foam? What color is the foam? I'm intrigued, as you mentioned in the top of the show. I'm a malt nerd, and I'm intrigued by the idea that you can use a very pale malt. Two beers of the same color can produce different color foam. Why is that? And I've asked that question of many, many people, and I haven't got it. Maybe one of your listeners can tell me why two beers of the same color can produce foam of different color. I would like to know that.
And of all the listeners that I personally know on this show, you are probably the only one qualified that I know that can answer your own question.
Except I can't. Yeah, and then again with the objective of trying to make my writing life easier. I will if any of those beers I taste win GBF medals or World Beer Cup medals, I'll add that to my database. And I'm a whole nerd about ingredients and brewing process and everything. And so to the extent I know the ingredients or technical specifications, I put carbonation. If I know the carbonation level, the brewer told me or somebody told me, I will include that in my tasting notes, the malts, the hops, was it double decocted, single decocted? If they tell me the temperature of the decoction steps, I'll include that in my notes. All of that. And a very good friend of mine was generous enough to put my database online. So even though my official database is still the 5 word files, there is an online version of it which is searchable and everything. And so if you want to ask me, you know, does does a certain temperature make a difference? in in a decoction regimen, I can search all of the beers that I know that had a decoction rest at that temperature and tell you if I have any, flavor or aroma similarities amongst all of those beers. Um, so one of these days, and actually somebody has approached me. Somebody who's trying to build an AI database has approached me about buying my beer database.
Wow.
Yeah. Because I mean, it is a rich, it's not just my sensory perception. It is a very rich database of data, technical brewing information.
And that's when you go buy your island and all you drink is Pacifico for the rest of your days.
Yes. Or a hard seltzer, because as you know, I'm a big fan of that.
All right. So two things, right? You ask so many technical questions of brewers. So and I think that they really enjoy it, right? Because most of the fans that show up and who might use that more popular app, they're just trying to get badges or they're clicking through or whatever. Um, do you find that when you're asking brewers about mash temperatures and decoction and hopping rates and all of that, like does that lead to deeper conversation? Does that lead to like I've seen brewers get excited talking with you about this because it's conversations that they don't often have about stuff that they're super passionate about.
Yeah.
And has that helped you one be a better drinker and two is that reception that I've seen a couple of times is that pretty uniform across the board from the brewers?
I wouldn't say it's uniform across brewers. I think that there are brewers who care and there are brewers who don't care, which is fine. That I didn't mean that to sound as critical as it sounded.
Okay.
Um, um, but I love talking to the brewers who care, and I love when people get excited about this stuff or as excited as I get about it. I've forgotten your question. What was your question?
I don't know. I forgot as well. No, just about forging like deeper connections with, like on the brewing thing. And,
It
like when you have those conversations, it must inform the beers that you have afterwards.
Yeah, I think that I love art too, and I like paintings and I love ballet and I love various art forms, and I whenever I meet artists, I like modern art, and a lot of people think, oh, I could have painted that blue circle on a red square. Anybody could do that. But when you talk to artists and you understand why the circle is as big as it is and why that shade of blue and how it overlaps with the red circle and where it overlaps with the red circle and to what extent none of these decisions are left to accident. There's a reason. Even Jackson Pollock, who splattered paint everywhere, it looks random, but it's not. There's reasons for all of it. How much paint do you put on the brush so that you get drips of certain sizes, and do you do the blue drip first and then the white drip second, and then do you go back to blue drips, and all of these things are thought about and carefully done. And I've always believed that the same is true of brewers. That there's people who just, oh, it's just pale two row, or is it pale two row, you know grown on this plot of land in Maine because I believe it has certain moisture characteristics, or there's less risk of pre-harvest sprouting, so I get a better malt out of it, or I'm making shit up, but
Yeah.
I'm not so concerned about brewers having right answers. I'm more concerned about brewers caring enough to ask the questions
Yeah.
and experiment. And those are, in my opinion, the best brewers. The same as the artists who think about these things. And Yeah, and it does inform, it does inform how I approach beers in the future. It informs the way I think of the food I eat. It informs when I go to the ballet. I look at, I as I'm watching a ballet, I notice that that finger is extended and that finger is not extended, and there's a reason for that. And I don't always know the reason, but I think about these things and I pay attention to these things, and I one day I'll try and get that answer as to why that finger's extended or not extended. Um, I, I just, yeah, if somebody cared enough to put that effort into it, then I want to care enough to notice it and ask why.
Yeah. So one of the things that I know you get asked a lot is, do you repeat beers?
Yeah.
And well, I mean, I'll let you answer that.
Um, I would say more and more so these days I do, not very often. I try to watch how much I drink. And so if given the choice between a new beer I haven't tried that I think will be pretty good, I will take that over a beer I have tried, even if I know that beer is good. There's no hard and fast rules here. Sometimes I just don't want to take a note. So if the only new beer on the menu is a Brut IPA, which everybody knows, everybody who follows me on social media knows I'm not a fan of that style, then I will happily have, you know, a Sierra Nevada Celebration instead of some unknown Brut IPA.
Yeah. But has that, because I think we talked about this a while back, right? Where beers evolve, beers change. Brewers are, the smart ones are tinkering with new things and their flagships even, and, trying to mess around with things. And so if you have a beer, you know, in October of 2025, it might be different,
Yeah.
even incrementally. And because you're keeping track of these beers in such a minutia like way, you'd probably be able to discern what was different. Whereas, I don't know if I'd be able to, unless somebody told me, or unless it was, one of these things where, Fat Tire went from an amber ale to a golden lager. And then I guess,
And thereby rescued the brand. As-
oh yeah, it's all we're talking about is Fat Tire these days. It's the Fat Tire
Sorry,
Radio Hour.
was that too cynical?
No, it was heartbreaking when they did that.
Yeah.
But I has there been? Do you feel like you're saying you're doing it more and more these days, going back to beers, but um, in your pursuit of account and maybe not going backwards, did something get missed? Do you think, or is that for somebody else to be tasting and documenting and going on because you're on your own path?
I'm on my own path. I do my own thing, and I'm not here to impress anybody.
Well, clearly, yeah,
I'm not actually.
yeah. No, I know.
I'm a little bit, yeah. Anyways, I will say that kind of the point. So I will Fat Tire as an example. To me, those are two different beers, and I would actually count those as two different beers.
Okay,
Because it was a reformulation, and the marketing and it's I think they consider it a new beer. I think that when
God, I hope so. Yeah,
I think that when a brewery, maybe the Cascade Harvest is crappy, so they substitute a different hop one year, but they are trying to make it taste as same as possible. I would not consider that a new beer. So they are trying to make it taste the same. So who am I to tell them to track that difference, I guess?
yeah.
So, have I had a beer a second time and noticed it, years later, as yes, because I will actually even make note of it. I do date my beer notes, and so I will go back and add to it and say, 5 years later, I had this beer and it was not as piney as I remember. And five years ago, it was these hops, and here it is now, and it's less piney, and I found out that it was these hops instead or something. So I will make note of that as well. Yeah.
And so, like, Boston Lager Remastered came out a couple years ago, which maybe had a different taste to it, or the power of suggestion. Would that have counted as two different ones, or
So I don't think I had it remastered. Did they call it remastered?
I mean, that was the marketing campaign for a little bit, and I think that they put it on a label for a little while of Boston Lager Remastered. I don't know if it's reverted back to, New Coke now or whatever, but
Right.
it's
I don't think I had that, but I don't think I've had that, but I probably would have counted that as a second beer.
okay. Well, I think whatever Boston Lager is now is the remastered recipe. So,
Okay.
so run out to your local airport bar and and stock up. So is it you judge a lot of beer competitions, and you don't often know what you're drinking when you're in those competitions because you're doing it blind. Do you go
Yep.
back afterwards and get all of the beers that you've had, or do judging beers sit in a different category for you?
So I start with the premise. My God, you're gonna find out just how obsessive I am. Um, I keep a list of the number of beers I've judged in competition. That's just a number because I don't, to your point, I don't know what beers I've judged. After the award winners are announced, if I happen to know, I judged the medal round of Brute IPA, for example, and I have those notes. And thanks to Brewing Awards platform where judging is online now, I can go back and I typically do have those notes. Then I will add those to my official beer database and then reduce my number of competition beers judged by that number of beers I've added to my beer database. Did that make sense?
Yes.
Thanks.
But I mean, I've also seen you at these things, when gold or not, like you remember what you judged and, medals and all of that. It's immediately out of my brain as soon as I'm done. But I've been with you at competitions where awards have been announced and, like, you're like, oh, okay, that's what that was. And, and you go, then you go in your notebook and you write it down, and it's just,
Yeah.
it's, a way of doing, of keeping track of it.
Yeah.
And you do more flights than pints.
I do more flights than pints. Yes.
Yeah. Do you miss full glasses of beer?
Mm,
I don't know. I don't know if miss is the right word, but
this isn't the
like,
right word. I
yeah,
mean, at home,
yeah,
I will have a can of beer, right? I will have a full beer. Uh, the one of the nice things is that I get gifted a lot of beer, and so
yeah,
if I don't like a beer, I can dump it too. So I never feel an obligation to finish a beer. But if it's a good beer, I have no hesitation in having a beer. And you mentioned airport bars. Airport bars
yeah.
don't have flights. I'll have a beer. I have beers. I do have beers. It's just that given the option, if I'm in a brewery tap room and they offer flights, I will almost always order a flight. And if they don't offer flights, but they offer a half size pour or whatever, I will almost always do that. For me, the tasting a new beer is more pleasurable than tasting a lot of a beer. Although I proved myself wrong when I went with you to Oktoberfest, didn't I?
That was fun. That was fun.
I had
Um,
6 liters of Hofbrau Helles that one night.
I know. I was with you on the train home. I probably had the same, if not more. It was that was fun. That was, um,
And I had that beer before. So like that night, I had no new beers. I drank 6 liters of beers and chalked up 0 new beers.
See, that's yours. You could have come down to the hotel bar with me.
I forgot you did that too.
I
Didn't you?
did. I did. I never pass up a hotel bar. I had gin and tonics at the hotel bar. They're like, we have Weinstein. I was like, yeah, I need gin and tonic right now. Um, you drink a lot of whiskey and wine as well. You're a fan of both.
Yeah.
Do you track those?
I do not. Yeah, I when I started so I got into beer first. I got into whiskey a few years later. And when I did, I know myself well enough to know I do tend to get obsessed about things that I get into. Um, Not just beer. I have other passions as well. And so when I started getting into whiskey, I made a conscious decision not to take notes. And then I'm not nearly into wine as much as like wine is
Oh, you
I like
appreciate it. Yeah,
I appreciate it, but I mean I couldn't tell you if you put a Cab Sav and a Merlot in front of me, I have vague knowledge of what the difference is. I don't have confidence enough that I would at least be half guessing.
that's fair. Um, there's obviously, the popular apps that are out there that track for people if they want.
Yeah.
Do you get people who ask advice if they want to break away from that or forge their own path of, you know, how do I do it? I'm thinking of like that, Mean Joe Green, commercial where he hands off the jersey to the kid, with a piece of advice. Like, is there, you know, do, do you get that question?
No,
And okay,
nobody asks me.
okay.
Nobody wants to do what I do, John. It's
So,
it's not healthy.
so then what is, I disagree, but like, what's driving it at this point? What, what's the fuel for it? And
It's I have different fuels for it. There are times like you and I were just at the Denver Rare Beer tasting,
sure, we're,
and man, when I have beers like the beers that were served at the Denver Rare Beer tasting, like I'm so happy to be able to taste those beers and appreciate them. And the only way I got to the ability to appreciate them to the level that I do is everything I've done up to this date. So that is very motivating to me. And then there are times where like I'm traveling, I'm at my third brewery of the day, and this flight has just been placed in front of me, and I kind of don't want to do it. But so at that time, the motivation is I have to because I don't. If I don't, then my list isn't complete anymore. Like there are times where this is not joyful for me, which means, by the way, I don't go to a fourth brewery. I've just made the
yeah.
mistake of having gone to a third brewery. I don't want people to think I can't not go to breweries. But yeah, there's times where this is where you know this is where as I mentioned, I am going back to uh, tried and true favorite beers more often because I do find myself more often kind of tired of taking the notes.
Yeah.
Uh, and I don't want to not take the notes. So that means I have a beer that I've had before, so I don't have to take notes. But yeah, there's times where I just love it. I just love, and I love that I have this database. And like, if somebody asks me a question, like, how many beers have you had with Mosaic hops? And like, I can bring it up and I can tell you that. And I'm smiling as I say this hypothetical question to myself. I love that I can do this. You know, I'm an
Do you,
odd fellow.
well, but it also, I mean, you're fortunate a lot. You travel a good amount. You've been in a lot of cities this year. I obviously, talking with you regularly and keeping up with you. But I mean, you know, it, it, have you learned or experienced things in the regionality of beers when it comes to either ingredients used or ABVs, or can you start to see patterns when you
Um,
go to a new city?
Sometimes there are regional celebrations of ingredients, I guess. So, New Mexico grows a lot of chilies. So you'll find a lot of chili beers there, more so than any other state. I'm guessing. Not that I've been to every state,
Sure.
but Alaska tends to like barley wines and imperial stouts for obvious reasons. But I do think I'm kind of two minds of this. One of the beautiful things to me about beer is that the artist, I'm going to call brewers artists, the artist can has the ability to do anything because they can RO their water to start. If they want to reproduce pills in water, they can reproduce pills in water. If they want to reproduce Burton water, they can reproduce Burton water. And by and large, yes, I know that fresh hops are better than old hops and shipping and all of that. But if you want Zatek hops in Nebraska, you can get Zatek hops in Nebraska. If you want Moravian malt in San Antonio, you can get Moravian malt in San Antonio. So artists everywhere around the world, and I'm not even picking on America. If you live in Beijing and you want Moravian malt, you can get Moravian malt, right? So um, one of the things I like about beer is that the art can be expressed anywhere, and there doesn't need to be regionality. But I also do appreciate regionality when it does exist. I don't find it actually so much in America. I think that the American beer scene does to be fairly homogenous. I see more of it. There's some exceptions. Obviously, West Coast tends to be hoppier and all that, but even East Coast breweries make West Coast style IPAs. I find more regionality in Canada. I think it's a reflection of our culture where I think there are, now I'm going to get a bunch of your American listeners emailing me and shitting on me for, for this
They
opinion.
better not. Better not.
Quebec is a much more European, has maintained a much more European influence than the rest of Canada, as an example.
I
And
noticed that. Yeah.
yeah, and you will find, they brew way more Belgian style beers than we do in the rest of Canada.
Yeah.
I was in Toronto. I go to Toronto almost every year, but particularly a couple years ago, I was in Toronto, and for whatever reason, a good half dozen or somewhere between a half dozen and a dozen of the breweries there had alt beers on. And because I noticed that, I started ordering them. And I noticed that the alt beers in Toronto were all maltier and nuttier than I would have liked.
Huh.
Than are in Dusseldorf. So I don't know. I don't know if that's an echo chamber thing. All the brewers talking to each other about how the malt bills for their alt beers or whatever. So I'm not here to tell you that's right or wrong. It is something that I noticed. I've been to Winnipeg, and there was 3 or 4 breweries on one Winnipeg visit, and they all had Roach beer, and Roach being red in
Yeah, I was gonna.
French. So
Yeah,
yeah,
it's not the smoked beer stuff. I was
no,
I, I was giving you the space. Yeah.
Roach beer, and I don't think I've ever been to any city anywhere else in the world where 4 breweries had a Roach beer on,
No, I mean I can't even remember the last time I had one.
right? So there's little regional differences like that, but
Yeah, I like that. Um, so as we have been talking, I should have asked you this beforehand, or before we started. Have you been adding to your list as we've been talking?
no, I have sparkling water,
Oh, okay. But
but
we
I will
started.
right after this.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
we started off by saying 30,000 was the milestone, but
Yes.
as of this recording, which is going up about 4 or 5 hours from now, um, what's the actual number right now?
So as we speak, it's 30,207. And as I mentioned, after this recording, I will probably have a beer.
Okay.
So it will be when people listen to this, it will be 30,208.
Wow. And what was the 30,000th beer?
Oh, I'm ashamed to admit that I tried to I tried to
You
do
had
something.
grand plans because you were
I
you were
had grand
talking this up
plans.
like, like
Yes.
months ago of like, oh,
Yes.
maybe we're gonna do a thing, and we talked about,
Oh my God.
like a live
I'm
event, and
I
yeah.
totally messed this up. So I for my 20,000th beer, I had a local brewery where I live. They brewed a beer for me. We had a big beer pairing dinner, sold tickets. There was a fundraiser around it, and I'm really proud to announce that
For a good cause,
for
yeah.
a good cause.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm
not
really
it's
proud that we raised $20,000, over $20,000 a local preschool for children with special needs. And it made the national news. I had my 15 minutes of fame. I did, oh my God, I did like 30 media interviews in like 3 days. It was crazy. And yet, really invigorating. So I had plans to do something for my 25,000th beer. Then we had this little pandemic thing that put wrinkles in those plans. So I had big plans to do a 30,000th thing, and then I just kind of, I don't know, I just kind of wasn't, I just kind of got lazy, I guess. So I didn't want to do it. And then I had plans to have a special beer for my instead, just have a special beer for my 30,000th. And then I just mistimed a bunch of things. And so I'm not even gonna name it. This beer does not deserve to be named.
Oh no.
Yeah. So my 30,000th beer was the fourth beer in a flight of five that I had at a brew pub. That was the beer was okay.
If we were one of those like morning radio shows, it'd be wah wah. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
it
I'd have
was.
the sound effects going. Yeah.
Yeah. I had set aside, the Holl Mega Blend.
Yeah.
I had set
For
aside a
those who
10-year.
don't
Oh yeah. Oh, for those who don't,
explain it, yes.
yeah, for all of the lambic producers in Belgium, every second year they do a blend of all of their lambics, and I believe there might be one or two that don't participate, but it is almost all of the lambic producers do, which is why it's called Mega Blend. So I had a bottle from 2015 that I was going to have as my 30,000th beer, and it ended up being, so I have had it, but it was 30,000 and something
Okay.
beer. Yeah. It was excellent, by the way. If anybody ever sees that Horal Mega Blend,
Yeah.
you should buy it.
Um, and your 10,000th was, it feels like you're picking up pace with this. Is
Yeah,
that fair? Because I was there, I was with you for 10,000.
yeah. I picked up pace and then I've slowed down again.
Okay.
So I'm doing, there was a time when I was doing over 2,000 new beers a year.
Jesus. Jesus,
And
Don.
now I'm guessing I'm 1,400, 1,500, 1,600 in that range.
Okay.
Mid 1,000. Yeah.
Um, all
But
right.
I love
Well,
tasting beer. Everybody send me your samples.
yes.
Just email me. I'll send you my address. Send me samples.
Don at thedonofbeer.com.
Yes.
Yes. Pay those Canadian entry fees and get Don some beer. Or send it to my house and then Don can come down and drink it here.
Or even better, whiskey
Yeah.
samples, because then I don't have to take notes. I would appreciate that.
Um, you've been on this broadcast before, but I can't remember if I asked you the green door question. Did I?
I don't think you did.
Okay.
I don't think I have
So,
answered the green door question.
all right. Well, then, the premise is I've been asking folks on the show since the pandemic when I rewatched The Good Place with my wife, is in the final season of The Good Place they introduced this concept of a green door where the characters can walk through it and be wherever they want, doing whatever they want. So, Don Tess, if we had a green door on our plane of existence and this conversation ended and you could walk through it and be in any pub or any brewery anywhere in the world, where would you want to go? Who would you want to be with? And what would you like to be drinking?
I'm torn because probably my favorite beer bar in the world is the Gar in Bruges.
Hmm. It's
Um,
beautiful. Yeah.
it's beautiful. I've been there 3 or 4 times, and I
Lucky.
love it for very many reasons. Um, but as you were setting up the premise, kind of the first bar that popped into my head was Culminator in Antwerp, which I've only been to once.
Oh,
Um, but it's also a special place. So I'm gonna go with that one because that's what kind of popped into my head. They do have
okay.
a broader beer list, so there's probably almost certainly something I haven't had there I could have. Um, and who would I want to be with? I mean, the suck up answer would be with you, John.
Oh, stop.
But
Although, I mean, we could plan a Belgian trip.
I think we should plan a Belgian trip,
You
and
know,
then
we can.
yeah, we could make my green door come true.
I'm
Um,
not opposed to that.
I will say, hmm, boy, Michael Jackson? Is
Okay.
that a lame answer?
No.
I had the honor of meeting him one time.
Did you? Okay.
But unfortunately, I met him, you know, it was during the Great British Beer Festival, and I met him as one of 200 people meeting him.
Sure.
But the idea of having a pint with him, and I would not, if I were having a beer with Michael Jackson, I would not be ordering flights because uh, Michael Jackson always drank full beers, and I would
Yeah.
want to have a full beer with him. So yeah, I'm gonna say Culminator with Michael Jackson.
All right. I love that.
You are welcome to come too, though.
I appreciate it. Um, I'm sure everybody listens to your podcast,
They
but
should.
I know they absolutely should. They should be following your work on Forbes.com and all of the other places that you write. And then if they want to reach out, we already said Don at thedonofbeer.com.
Yep.
And the website is just also thedonofbeer.com.
Yep. And then
Um,
Instagram is at the Dawn of Beer.
love it. Hey pal, thanks for doing this.
Anytime,
This
anytime you
is
want to talk about beer. You know what,
what?
John? I want to. We should
Yeah.
here right now, while people are listening,
Okay.
promise each other that we will
Yes.
record a live episode at Culminator
Okay.
within the next 2 years. Let's give us 2 years to do it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. We can find a way to make that work.
All right.
All right.
Michael Jackson will not be there because the stink will be the like. Oh, it will not smell good.
The idea of you trying to dig up Jackson's corpse, my God. Hey, if you if you want more of this from Don, make sure you tune into the All About Beer podcast that he co-hosts with M.
With
Sauter
M. Sauter,
every
yes.
every 2 weeks. You have a good episode coming
And
up, not this
I
week,
promise
but
M is
next.
not as weird as me. Like people should listen to the
Not
podcast for
as
M.
weird, but weird in their own fun way. You guys have a good one coming up with Pilsner Kel
Yes,
in
very, very proud of this,
a week from this Thursday. So yeah.
including a little bit of a interesting truth bomb in there that I thought was fun. So that's my teaser. Everybody listen to it.
So yeah, find that where podcasts are found. Make sure you join the This Week in Rauch Beer Facebook group, which is different from the This Week in Rot Beer group, which does not exist on Facebook. This Week in Rauch Beer is also on Instagram at TW Rauch Beer. Upload your photos, join the conversation. You can always find me on email at John Holl, JOHNHOLL at allaboutbeer.com. You can support us by visiting allaboutbeer.com/support. And when you're at the website, check out new content as well as our archives, which go back almost 45, 46 years now. And you can find all of the links to follow All About Beer on social media when you're on that. Before we run, here's a word from this episode's sponsors. We thank them for their support. We hope you'll give them your business. StompStickers.com is loaded with features to make ordering a breeze. They save all your artwork and order history, so restocking your best sellers is just a click away. Oh, and did we mention free shipping on every order? Try Stomp Stickers today and snag 15% off of your first order with the code FIRSTRUN.
Calling all hopheads. Dogfish Head's 60-minute IPA is a fantastically hoppy India Pale Ale that's beautifully balanced thanks to their unique continual hopping method. Delivering a pungent hop flavor that isn't crushingly bitter, 60 Minute is continually hopped throughout the boil for a full 60 minutes. Starting to see where the name comes from? Check out dogfish.com to learn more and to find some 60 Minute near you. Dogfish Head Craft Brewery, Milton, Delaware. Please drink responsibly.
And again, if you like smart audio content, the All About Beer podcast channel is available for your listening pleasure. Search and subscribe on your podcast platform of choice. Boy, I stepped on that one. Steal This Beer has new episodes every Monday. The BYO Nano podcast comes out on the 15th of every month. And as for this show, Nate Schweber does the music, Jeff Quinn designed our logo, and I'm John Hall. New episodes release every Wednesday, and that's when I'll be back again to drink beer and to think beer.